In this episode of Motive Garage presented by Sparesbox, we go down the rabbit hole with our R32 Skyline GT-R before we send it to the USA in 2024. If you watched our last episode of Motive Garage presented by Sparesbox, you would have seen that we lifted the head in our R32 Skyline GT-R. Only a little bit though. It actually drove perfectly fine on 1,000 horsepower or less. It was only when we squeezed it to just under 1,200 horsepower that we would actually get the issue. Now, you're probably asking why? Well, the main culprit generally is cylinder pressure, and we had probably too much back pressure on the G45 1500 because we were running that little 101 rear housing. On 1,000 horsepower, totally fine, but obviously when we turned it up to sort of 31, 32 pounds, and it's not so much the boost in the top end, it's the boost in the mid-range and the fact we had it in the lower gears. We're just asking a lot of that engine. Now, 165 mile an hour is some serious grunt in one of these, and obviously there's just general wear and tear. Over 2.5 years and nearly 4,000 Ks, as a viewer of our channel, you would know it's done a lot of full throttle passes. So that wear and tear, combined with pushing it a little bit too hard, means we lifted the head. Now, one idea was we just simply pull the engine out, change the head gasket, put the head back on after it's been decked, put a bigger rear housing on, and off we go. That's what we thought would happen. But no, this is a GT-R, and you always go down the rabbit hole. So I believe the conversation with Rob Arbolino went a little bit like this. Dude, we can't send that car to the USA with that engine bay looking that terrible. Okay, well, let's strip the engine out, everything out, we'll go paint it. Yeah, we also can't send it to the USA with your wiring loom looking like it's been chopped and changed for 10 years. Okay, well, then let's strip the entire wiring loom and start again. We'll upgrade ECUs while we're at it. Good thinking. I also want to change all of the lines in the car to fresh and how I want them to be laid out. Cool? Okay, I'll call Raceworks, let's do it. And lastly, I want everything anodized, powder coated to all look brand new. We need a proper Aussie GT-R engine bay to head over to the USA. Okay, let's do it. And that's pretty much how it went. So the first thing we had to do was give the engine a health check, and then we pull it out and strip the car down. Let's go. So the engine bay is completely stripped. All we've got to do now is get it off the hoist, pull the guards off. We're going to gurney the engine bay, degrease it, etc. Get it all ready to go to paint. We're also going to grind down a few brackets and tabs and things like that to clean up what we want. But yeah, nearly ready to go to paint. And then I've got to go strip the engine, get that ready to go to CRD. So when you race your car as much as I do and take it to Cootamundra and power cruise and drive it in the rain and use it, it gets pretty dirty. It's pretty bad in there. The engine's stripped, ready to go to CRD so it can get inspected so we can work out what our next plan is. Essentially, right now, we don't, really know what we're gonna find until we pull the head off and have a look, right? So, compression check was even, but lower than I'd hoped. So really now it all comes down to the condition of the block, the condition of the head to decide what we do next. So it could end up just being this engine straight back in, or things could snowball even more than they already have. But until we have the evidence we need to make the decisions, there's really nothing more to say. So just a few things to tidy up, to get ready to go to powder coating, take this to CID and see what happens. So while I was in the USA for SEMA for a couple of weeks, I sent the car over to Brian El Hassan so he could work his magic on the engine bay. And I think you'll agree, the thing looks amazing. In fact, his work on the engine bay looks better than the outside of most of the cars I've ever painted. Absolutely looks perfect. Now, the other thing that happened while I was away at SEMA was a whole lot of parts got sent off to be powder coated and anodizing. The first lot of stuff to come back was from Competition Coatings, who ceramic coated our 6-boost exhaust manifold, our screamer pipe and our dump pipe. It makes it look brand new because obviously all that stuff had done a fair bit of work. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's currently with Produce Factory, PRP, as well as Competition Coatings that'll be back in a couple of weeks when I get back from overseas again as well. And speaking of PRP, we also have a whole bunch of new parts, the modern stuff in their catalogue that's coming for the car as well, because obviously we need that PRP bling in the engine bay. Now, while the car was stripped down, we also sent the transmission back to PPG to get it inspected and for some maintenance. Now, there was actually nothing wrong with it. It was working great. However, scheduled maintenance when you've got the chance with a sequential gearbox is always a good thing. Now, one of the biggest changes we're going to do to the car is we're going to get Rowan, who redid Jet 200, to make a whole new wiring loom for our GT-R. And while we're doing that, we're also going to upgrade it and make everything nice and modern. And the big thing we're going to be changing is to a Nexus R5 ECU. Now, if you know anything about these ECUs, you know that they have a PDM built in as well. So you can actually run the actual body of the car. So power windows and wipers and air cons and everything else can be run now through the Nexus R5, which is one of the main reasons we want to go to it. Obviously, better processing speeds, and it's the best product in the lineup from Haltech. So we're going to go the best of the best. We're going to go a whole new wiring loom here, which starts as a basic universal wiring loom. For the R5, we're going to have a keypad go in. We got all new sensors, wide bands, flex fuel sensors, rotary trim knob, 4-port boost controller, the GPS module. We got everything we need and some doubles of a few things as well, so we have spares in case any sensors fail while we're in the US. So we're going to be talking more about the specifics of the electronics upgrades in this car in a future episode. But another cool thing that I really like is this Wendlab triple gauge cluster. So this basically replicates the factory 3 gauges in the dash of the GT-R, but it gets its signal via CAN bus from the Haltech. So you can program it to show what information you like. So I love this kind of resto mod style modifications to the car. Can't wait to get that in and get that working. So yeah, lots to come on the electronic side. Now, one thing that you won't see in the car, because you're going to see it from the outside, is a new direct clutch 9-inch twin plate clutch. Now, you know we've already been running these for a couple of years, but we've had a ceраmetallic one in our car, which is basically a street clutch. Now, it has no problem handling the power, but when you've got a drag radio on a prep track, you're doing a lot of launches, it's pretty hard on that clutch. In fact, the boys were pretty impressed the car survived as long as it did with so many 8 and 9 second passes. So now we've moved to their sintered iron drag clutch. It won't be as nice to drive as what it used to be, but hey, I've got a lot of people I want to race in the USA, so I've got to make sure this clutch can hold up for a lot of drag runs. The other bonus with this is you can use shims to adjust the clutch as it wears out to keep it working perfectly. So another big upgrade for the car. In fact, there's still a lot of upgrades we need to mention, but we'll save those for a future episode. Make sure you subscribe for all the information on this build as we get it ready to head to the US, and keep an eye on the GT-R Festival website, the GT-R Festival USA. But while we're here, PRP GT-R Festival Australia, 24th and 25th of May, 2024. See you there.